Give us some of the best practices on right ways and wrong ways to implement a chat strategy.
Sure. So you're familiar with inbound as a concept, obviously.
Oh yeah, sure.
So we have been redrafting the inbound methodology. It's actually going to come out as of inbound this year. And what you're going to see in there is there's a shift. And I can't give it all away yet because it's not officially out. But there's a part there that overlaps and came directly from what we call conversational growth strategy or conversational strategy. And it's this idea that there are 3 pillars. And the 3 pillars that exist when we talk about it, the first is this idea of time to live, or TTL, as you'll hear it referred to more and more. And that is essentially this idea that every channel, whether it is live chat, Facebook Messenger, SMS, email, snail mail, phone, every one of those channels has an amount of time that someone is willing to wait before they receive a response. And if you exceed that time period, what ends up happening is you start to make them unhappy. And we don't want to make people unhappy. So if you're in a live chat situation or you're working with a chat bot or an email, with an email, you might be willing to wait 12 to 48 hours before you get a response back, right? I mean, that's a pretty reasonable period of time. Okay, I sent an email, I'll wait a day. But when you go to live chat, you have maybe 2 to 5 minutes. And if you're in the middle of the conversation, you're really expecting almost a few seconds. So that's TTL, and we can come back to that, later on. The second part is this idea of what we call shared knowledge. Now, let me ask you, have you ever called up a customer service line twice, asked the same question twice, but gotten 2 different answers?
Sure.
Okay. The reason that happens to you is because they didn't standardize their information, and because people weren't sharing what they knew. You had, the way we put it is this: when you say "I know," that's personal knowledge. When you say "we know," you're talking about shared knowledge.
Yeah.
And there's 2 sides to that. There's this idea of relational, which can live in your CRM usually, and that's about the people and their businesses and actions they've taken and activities they've done. And the other side of that is factual knowledge, and this is the questions people ask, the solutions that your products and services can solve for, and making that available to all the parties that need it, regardless of who originally collected or created it. Make sense?
It does. Makes perfect sense.
So the final part here is an acronym that we call SCOPE, SCOPE. SCOPE stands for standardize, contextualize, optimize, personalize, and empathize. And those are the principles that guide how you want to create your conversational strategy. You want to standardize so you don't have different answers given to you when you call up and you ask the same questions. You need to contextualize. There are 8 ways you can ask a question: who, what, where, when, why, how, which, and yes, no, which is like can or should. Can I, should I, will I, do I? Those are all yes, no. And you want to make sure that you're able to answer the right question in the right way. And every one of those different types of questions, there are only 8. There are not other ways to ask questions than those ways. You want to make sure that you're providing the right type of answer for the right type of question. When you optimize, you're looking at am I actually playing into the strengths of the channel that I'm using? If I'm in a live chat scenario, do I really want to be reading 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of a message? Probably not, right?
Right. No, it makes sense.
Probably not. You probably want to have a few sentences, and if you need to know more, you can ask for it, and that might send you a link, or you might get an email that says, here's the deeper dive into what we were talking about. I didn't want to flood you in our live chat. So that's optimizing. When you personalize, you're leveraging what you know about the activities they've done and who they are and what information has already been collected and already put into that shared knowledge pool to make it feel like it's personal. And the reason why is very, very simple, David. It's because everyone wants to feel heard, everyone wants to feel special, and everyone wants to feel unique. But for the company, it's because every one matters. Yeah, right? I mean, it's literally treating people how you want to be treated. And that goes into the final thing here, this idea of empathize. And, to put it in a nutshell, you oftentimes find yourself having to give the emotionally right answer before you can give the factually correct one. Someone calls up and says, I cannot freaking log in. You really can't answer that question, but you want to make sure that they understand that you understand. hey, sorry that's happening. Is it an email issue, or do you think you forgot your password? I think it's an email issue. Okay, let's find what email you used to log in. You go from there. So time to live, shared knowledge, and the acronym of SCOPE collectively is the best set of practices that you can go through and you can just apply in a, like the back of a shampoo bottle, lather, rinse, repeat.
I love it. Thanks for the analogy. So put this in context for me. This idea of the immediacy and the three-pronged approach in live chat, where is this communication vehicle ranking in order of preferences for customers versus calling up a customer service line, sending an email, waiting a day, those kind of things?
Oh, fun fact, 77% of people prefer their digital engagement to be via live chat. 88% of people expect it to be available. 62% of people, if they're on a mobile device, would essentially demand it, and if it's available, 82% of them will use it. And the reason why is really simple. The average email response time to an open customer service ticket is 12 hours via email. It's 2 minutes via live chat. Which would you prefer?
Easy done.
There you go. The fact is that if I'm visiting a blog page or a landing page, I have two options. I can collect a lead. The lead's going to probably come from a form. The form's going to go into a CRM. The CRM is going to trigger an automated marketing cycle. You might get an email. If you respond to that email, you might get another email, down and down and down and down. You're in a machine at that point. Well, that might take days before you actually get to someone personal. And in reality, they can educate you all you want. They're never asking, what are your questions? Now, the sad fact is this, though. Only 9% of companies use live chat on their website, yet remember, 82% of people expect it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a massive gap there. Now, the second part is this. If they respond at all, it takes on average 5 days for a newly generated lead to be reached out to via email or phone by most companies. That was from a J.D. Power and Associates survey that was done in the last few months.
That's a little scary to me.
Terrifying, especially if you own a business and you're not doing these things. Which means that 99 out of 100 businesses aren't. 91 out of 100 businesses are not doing it. So go drive down your main street. Go look through your building. And look at the name plaques of every company in there. And if every 100 of them know that 91 of them are probably not engaging and caring about building one-to-one relationships. And that, David, is where the opportunity exists. You only got to be number 10, not even number 1, just number 10, and you're still ahead of 90% of the pack.
I'm really curious as to your crystal ball, where you see this conversational commerce field in particular with chat evolving over the next 12 and 18 months. Where's the puck going? Okay,
well, 70 to 80% of people will not buy from an e-commerce site if there is not live chat available.
Got it.
Straightforward fact. People expect live chat available because they know they're going to get a response. On top of that, a lot of people, especially if they're under 35, have phone phobia. They don't like picking up the phone. I like it, but not everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not under 35. So I'm proving it out, right?
Preach.
Point being is this. Conversational commerce as a specific space is going to be driven more and more by creating that personal one-to-one relationship. Now, how do you do that? Well, you have to be able to collect information and store it somewhere, which means you have to have a CRM. You have to have your chatbot tied to your CRM. You have to be able to reference what's going in and what's going out. When you ask a question in the chatbot, you got to have a place to store the answer in your CRM so you can reference it later. So if I'm buying something and you know what I bought before, I should see a different message the next time I come back, maybe asking me about what I thought about it. That would make sense. That's what you would do as a person, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
If you knew me and I knew you and you owned the local hardware store and I'd come down, you had sold me a hammer and some stuff to go and do a repair, and I came in the next day and I saw you, you'd probably say, hey, how'd that work out for you? You want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone matters. Everyone wants to feel heard. Everyone wants to feel unique. And that's what you can do with a chatbot and a properly executed conversational growth strategy.
Let me follow up with you on that, because this also circles back to the initial discussion we had about right or wrong on chatbots and the emotional intelligence on this one there. It still requires somebody to input in various set of circumstances and inputs as to what type of response. So is it still incumbent upon the company to at least have an understanding of the emotional intelligence and the emotional trigger points of their archetype customers? Where does the human interaction come into play?
You know, look at it this way. There's domain expertise and there's process expertise. Domain expertise, you know about what you do. Process expertise, you know about how you do it, right? What that means is this. You're going to see 2 points of differentiation coming out. You're going to see what I would call a conversational design set of agencies and services start to develop. These are companies that are experts at process. They're experts at crafting narrative. It's a combination of copywriting, some programming, but not a whole lot, but understanding how to make it work. And then and that could be an internal team in reality. But then the other side, which is the factual answers, those don't really change. So there's a saying that I repeat myself a lot with: craft the narrative first, build the bot second. You got to know what your story is, and then you go and you build the bot. You got to figure out where are the decision points. What is the journey that they're going on in a given conversation?
I love it. Thank you for that. Thanks for the clarification. The last thing that I've got then, and I think you sort of talked about it then, you've been with HubSpot since the acquisition of Motion AI, and I think, if I can at least draw a conclusion, that this new product launch has something to do with certainly the acquisition and the knowledge base that HubSpot has required. How is that going? How is it assimilated and within HubSpot and the overall strategy?
Sure. So, you know, a lot of what you're going to be seeing coming out in the next few months is based largely around this idea of, to do inbound is to have the goal of building one-to-one relationships and doing it at scale. You know, that is what created inbound, the whole inbound concept in the first place, was there had to be a better way than just blasting you with ads, right?
Sure.
Ads have a place in everything, and there's nothing wrong with ads. But the way they were done 10 years ago, and a lot of people still do them today, were not really effective because you weren't caring about the individual. So with HubSpot, what's happened is, since Motion joined and we came in, we've basically gone from scratch and rebuilt a platform that is fully integrated into the overall HubSpot platform. And over the next few months, you're going to be seeing more and more coming out, added features, added functionality, but it is designed from the ground up to be integrated. It's the only platform out there that is, from the ground up, designed to be working with the CRM and with the knowledge base. And what people are starting to build on that is already fantastic. And the features that we have coming out over time that are already on the roadmap are even more fantastic, because they are really allowing you to create intelligent agents that work on your behalf without you having to add headcount. So the strategy itself, the evolution of the strategy, a lot of it is still based on inbound. It's still very much inbound. It's still buyer personas and targeting your content and your messaging and all of that. But now we're looking at doing that on a more personal level. And if I, you know, I know for myself, if I feel that a company cares, I am more than likely to give them a chance than if I feel that one doesn't. You agree?
Completely great points. Brian, you've been very kind with your time. This has been a fascinating conversation. I appreciate it.
Well, absolutely. No problem.